Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you'll meet two people who are passionate about senior care. You'll hear the people behind Ruby Care next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, I am 61 years old, and I'm blessed my parents are still alive and well and living in Waco, Texas. But I've got to be honest with you, every time my phone rings and it says mom and dad, during the day, I'm like, oh gosh, is something wrong? And fortunately, they're both in good health. But the reason I'm telling you that story is that I think most of us wait until the very last minute, until something happens, somebody falls, to make a decision about how, what's the best for mom and dad. So that's why I invited in two good friends, Nell Taylor and Joyce Logan. They're both with Ruby Care. In fact, you're the founder.
Yes.
Joyce, let's begin with you. Tell us about Ruby Care.
Well, Ruby Care is a company that helps families and seniors navigate senior housing options. So we cover the Dallas-Fort Worth area and helping families. We're advocates for families that are going through needing the resources and the tools to help find housing options.
Yes, and before the show we were talking, and I compared you to a great travel agent. A great travel agent checks out all the resorts and the places that they're recommending. So you visit each one of these places.
Yes, we do. A lot of times people can equate, well, I like travel agent. I've never used that one, but they understand what a real estate agent does or an apartment locator. But yes, we check out all the communities or residential care homes because we help families find independent living, assisted living, memory care, and residential care homes. So our team of 9, we all are visiting these communities. We're in and out of them all the time and making sure we know who the executive directors are, the nursing staff.
Love that.
And
Nell, you joined the company in 2019.
I did.
And both of you have like a personal story. Why don't you share your story now?
Well, my mother had Alzheimer's, and her husband had some serious health issues as well. I went over to their house one time, and they had food in the refrigerator that was spoiled. Notes all over the kitchen that said, turn off the oven, turn off the stove. My mom was still using a tray with pills on it, not even a pill box. And so she also had a heart condition, and she needed to be with a place with really good nutrition. They were eating canned soup every night. So I had to find a place for both of them, and it was a very overwhelming experience. The salespeople are brilliant at their job, and I would go into a senior living community and just shut down. So I wish I'd had somebody holding my hand throughout the process. And so when I learned about Ruby Care and what they did, I went, okay, this is what I want to do. This is because it's a mission. It's a calling when you have that feeling. It's just exactly what I wished I'd had.
And Joyce, you also have a personal story.
yes, and that's basically how I got into the business. I got a call from a healthcare worker saying that my parents could no longer live by themselves. They were living in the Georgia area at the time. And so I'm like, okay. So they said, if you don't get involved, we got to, maybe reach out to, higher sources. And we had no idea. We knew mom had dementia, but we didn't know she was as bad as she was. My sister had just been there 3 weeks prior. And so anyway, we got there, we got that urgent call that we needed to move them. And we moved them. My sister lived in Ohio. So we moved my mom and stepdad to Ohio because she had room in her home. And then my mother-in-law, Ruby, who the company's named after, needed help when she was in independent living. are living in her home in East Texas. And so we helped her find a place in the Dallas area to be near family. So both of those are reasons or why I got into the industry, because I wanted to offer that more personalized service.
And that's what I love about Ruby Care is that you both can identify with your client because they're scared. You've been there before. You can really work in their best interest. We're going to show a fun video that you guys created. Let's go ahead and put this video up, and I want you guys to kind of narrate this. What are we looking at here?
Well, our team gets together at least once a quarter. And so this wasn't a day that we had our photos taken. Then we went to a senior community and just kind of had fun showing off with our umbrellas. I always try to give them a little red something red. And so that day I gave them red umbrellas.
Well, I want you to brag about your team. What kind of people do you'd like to bring into the company?
Yeah. Well, we are fortunate. We have 9 advisors on our team. And collectively, we have about 150 years experience in the industry.
Wow.
And a couple of us are certified senior advisors, which is the highest designation you can get in senior living.
Nice.
And certified dementia practitioners. People have worked in home health, hospice, and senior living communities. So we cover the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are just advocates for families. And we all have had our own personal journey. So that's what makes us unique.
I love it.
And we just find this to be our ministry as well.
I think that is so cool. And you were telling me before the show started that you've been doubling in size every single year.
Yes.
That's incredible. I know there's a silver tsunami going on right now. You gave me a statistic before the show. How many people turn 65 every year or something?
10,000. 10,000 every day.
No kidding.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, so we do find that there's a growth, and there's a growth, there's more advisors out there, and there is such a need, and only probably 10% of the population knows that we exist.
Wow.
We're a free service to the families.
That's wonderful. Joyce, which one of your favorite success stories?
Well, gosh, there are so many, but one that stands out is, your first one. They always say your first one. But I got a call from a lady, it seems like it was just yesterday, when she called me and she said she needed help. She and her mother had been living together for 25 years or 20 years, and the daughter had never been married. And so what happened? The mother fell, and then the daughter tried to help her. They both fell, or she fell too.
Right.
She crawled to her phone, called 911. They came in, got them. Mom ended up going to the hospital, and then she was in rehab, and that's where I met them.
Wow.
So the daughter came out to visit with me, and I thought it was the mother because she was elderly, 82, and she was on a walker. And so got to know her even more. And it was so important that the two stayed together.
Yes.
And neither one of them wanted to go back home with full-time care. So I had to find a place that served both of their needs.
Right.
The mother was bedbound. So I ended up finding a residential care home that had a master bedroom, and so they could live there, comfortably. And what was so unique about that too is the mother, her name was Ruby. And so I love that story. And Ruby passed at 105.
Wow.
And I found the daughter in assisted living where she could be a little more social. So anyway, it was just special because it was most important that I listened to them, their needs, that they stayed together.
Yes.
And so that's what we did.
We've got some video from our library. Let's go ahead and roll some of that and talk about the different, you talked about memory care and active senior living. And so there's all kinds of places in DFW. I think we're blessed to be in an area that has so many quality places. Do you want to speak to that now?
Oh, absolutely. There are many places that can serve for independent living, but they can also get services in their independent living as well. Assisted living, they have 24-hour care needs. They're wake caregivers at night. Most communities have a meal plan, so they'll get good nutrition. And of course, the activities. That's the main thing, to get out and be socialized. We learned during COVID how detrimental it was to our seniors not to have that socialization, that stimulation, that human contact.
Sure.
And it's very, very necessary.
And I know one of the trends these days is to have everything under one roof so that you're not moving mom or dad
Right.
like 5 different times. They just kind of go down the hall. Why don't you speak to that?
Yeah, a lot of people do want where there's continuum care, but unfortunately, there are not a lot that have independent living, assisted living, memory care in one building. So what we're finding is independent living communities are single and independent of themselves.
Sure.
And then you find assisted living and memory cares together. But I do find a trend where they are building more communities where all three are on one campus, because a lot of people do want that. But like you touched earlier, that we are blessed to have so many different options in Dallas and so many communities. We really are. They say there's like 900 different senior housing options, but that includes skilled nursing.
Right.
But we do have a lot of options around.
And I don't know about you guys, but I can always feel warmth or cold when you walk in the door. You can tell, like, there's an energy that happens when you guys approach a new facility that you've never investigated before. Talk about the process. What do you do?
Well, how we work with our families, we have a consultation with them, and usually it's on the phone, or it could be a Zoom call if we have family members, throughout the country, because that happens a lot too. And then we will we'll do a deep dive, finding out about their loved one, their care needs, their preferences, where they want to live, what locations they want to go. And we just want to know everything about their loved one, what
Sure.
kind of career they had and what's, most important to them. And then we'll match them up to communities. So we'll find with our software, we have the option to narrow it down, and we'll give them 2 to 3 different options.
Nice.
And then we'll set up tours and accompany them on the tours if they would like us to join them.
Nell, I imagine you guys are almost counselors in a way, because sometimes mom and dad don't want to leave home.
Correct.
So you're with a family during almost a family crisis. Why don't you talk about the bedside manner and the compassion it takes to be successful?
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying with the whole counselor thing. Sometimes I do feel kind of like a psychologist, because a lot of the loved ones need to vent and need to get it out, and understand what's going on. They have a lot of guilt. And so they're trying to learn what's the best process for their family. And that's where we come in to help them guide through that, to learn what the care needs are for their loved ones and that sort of thing, and guide them to the proper locations. And we follow up with each other and with our clients to make sure they're happy in their home. And so we'll know, exactly how good the care is in each place. And so we keep in touch with that as well.
And Joyce, how do you navigate that when mom or dad says, "Well, I've lived in this home for 50 years and by God, I'm not leaving"? What do you say?
Well, I tell because usually we're dealing with the adult children. And so we just say, you have to be patient. Just kind of share stories. I have a friend, this is what happened with their parent, and just kind of be patient and just give suggestions and have them, just appease them to maybe say,
Sure.
Please come with me. Let's go look at this. You don't have to move, just so you were aware and planning.
Yeah. I bet you can save families a lot of time, because for an individual to even take tours of 5 or 6 different properties, that takes a lot of time, doesn't it?
It does. About an hour and a half for each one to get a good tour. And then if you want to stay for lunch, that's an extra time. But a lot of times when you were talking about getting the parents on board, going and having a meal or going and enjoying an activity at one of the properties is, that sometimes they realize it's like a cruise ship on land. You've got a chef, a chauffeur, a housekeeper,
Right.
activities, and 3 meals a day plus snacks, and all the care you can need. So it's
We can save them a lot of time because they can, of course, do the search on their own.
Yeah.
But they're getting mixed in with all different types of senior housing, because we do that deep dive, finding out what their needs are. We can do something in 2 hours or a half hour that may take them a week to figure out.
Yeah, and you can work within all budgets, I imagine.
Yes.
If the family says, okay, this is what
Right.
we have set aside for this, you can say, okay, well, that narrows our search to these properties.
Right. I don't like to say this sometimes,
Yeah.
but I do say it's like comparing hotels. I mean,
Yeah.
why show the Ritz-Carlton when they have,
Right.
know, the Holiday Inn budget?
Right. We got about 2 minutes left, so I'd like to give you guys a chance to give final thoughts. Why don't you look into your camera and talk to that family, maybe the son and daughter of the person that you'll one day be placing, and talk to them about why it's probably better to have a conversation with you sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, I feel that it's very important to talk to someone that's an expert in the industry, because we are in and out of the communities all the time. So we know what they can do and make their job so much easier. They can be the daughter or the son again and not have to worry about caring for their loved one. And showing them these options and maybe moving mom or dad there, you know that they're in good hands. And it's like a 30-day lease if they aren't happy and they want to bring them back home. So it's better to do a deep plan ahead and getting information and working with a senior living advisor, because our services are completely free. And we can show you the different options. And if staying at home is the best option for the time, we can give you resources, who you can talk to for home care or any other type of home modifications that you may need.
Awesome. Okay, Nell will give you the final word.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to piggyback on what Joyce said. I do believe in get a plan in place just in case. And that's kind of the motto that we have when we do our presentations to a lot of churches and a lot of other events. And so we want to make sure that everybody understands exactly what's out there, what it will entail. And then we will, set up their personalities with the different communities. We'll understand what will work best for them. And so they'll know if anything does happen, God forbid, down the road, and they do fall, break a hip, what have you, go into rehab and they need to go into assisted living, we'll have a plan in place to know which community it is to look at for them at that time.
And you don't have to do this alone.
Amen. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us. We're going to end with the website, which is rubycaresenior.com. Nell, Taylor, and Joyce Logan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jeff. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.